Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Back to the immigration thing just for a second. The number to call, by the way, if you want to jump in our conversation, 888-589-8840 is the number, 888-589-8840. Interesting theory about this illegal immigration thing. And again, as I've suggested, everybody that supports the DREAM Act is responsible for this humanitarian catastrophe. They're just simply not thinking through this thing, thinking through to the implications, the way this thing is going to work out, the unintended consequences. They always want to try to do the nicest thing they can for the person in front of them, not realizing that if they do that thing, it may have some very, very unfortunate consequences for a lot of innocent people. So I'm holding everybody accountable. Everybody that supports the DREAM Act, I'm holding them accountable for what's happened along the southern border, this humanitarian catastrophe. Hundreds of thousands, literally. They're expecting 130,000 unaccompanied minors to come across the southern border this year. 60,000 came over this past year. That's a tenfold increase from a decade ago. This problem is only going to get worse as long as that DREAM Act is on the table, as long as that promise is being dangled in front of people. The word is going to get to people in Central America. The word is going to get to people in South America that if they can cross the border, if they can sneak into the United States, as long as they're under the age of 15, they're going to be able to stay and have guaranteed path to citizenship. So I hold them all responsible. Anybody supporting the DREAM Act has some culpability for this humanitarian catastrophe. But it's interesting, the first place they dropped them was in Phoenix, and Phoenix, Arizona didn't have anything to say about this. Why did they pick Phoenix? This piece on townhall.com suggests that this might have been payback. This was President Obama paying back Jan Brewer in Arizona. Remember that famous picture of Jan Brewer? President Obama flies to Arizona. Jan Brewer's out there on the tarmac, and she's jabbing her finger in his bony chest. She's right up in his grill about the immigration issue. And so this apparently, the theory here is that President Obama was simply paying her back by sending the first batch of these 60,000 minors right into Phoenix and just releasing them en masse in the Greyhound bus depot. And by the way, on immigration, 61% of the American people disapprove of President Obama's handling of illegal immigration. It is folly for the Republicans to think that this is a winner for them, that following President Obama over the cliff of amnesty, that somehow this is a political winner. It is not. 61% of the American people disapprove of how President Obama is handling the immigration issue. And he's got, speaking of him and poll numbers, he's got trouble all over the place. 55% of voters in a Fox News poll believe that the Obama administration has made America weaker. 68% think that his administration is less competent than Bill Clinton. And catch this, 48% of Americans believe that his administration is less competent than the administration of George Bush. And that sounds, so Obama support, oh, well, that's great. Well, that's less than 50%. The problem is only 42% believe that he was more competent than President Bush. So 48% believe that Obama's less competent than President Bush. A plurality, that's 6% more, believes that he is less competent than George W. Bush. So his numbers are bad everywhere you look. Independents in particular think that Obama was less competent than Bush by a 47 to 34% margin. And President Obama is losing the working class. Remember, one of the things I've said is it's a fact of life. Liberalism hurts the little guy. Socialism hurts the little guy. Fascism hurts the little guy. It always does. Liberals claim that they're the party for the little guy. They're looking out for the little guy. They're the champion of the little guy. Their policies hurt the little guy every single solitary time. And working Americans, those that make $50,000 a year or less and haven't been to college, they are turning on Obama. This represents a general plummet in his approval ratings. A new CNN poll finds falling support for President Obama on every policy issue. On no single issue does a majority of Americans approve of Obama's position on many important issues: healthcare, immigration, foreign policy. His approval ratings have reached new lows. Perhaps surprisingly, Breitbart says, his approval ratings are worst among America's working class who have turned decidedly against Obama. These are the people that got him elected. They've turned against him. Now, it should be noted, they go on to say Obama's approval ratings have collapsed across the issues, not just with this subgroup. But on every issue among working-class voters, Obama receives lower marks than he does among the general population. 67% of working-class Americans disapprove of President Obama's handling of the economy. 69% disapprove of his handling of health care. So President Obama is hurting the little guy, and the little guy is starting to figure it out. Now, one of the problems, of course, at this point, President Obama just doesn't care. I mean, President Obama honestly does not care what the polling data reads. He cannot run for re-election. He can't be re-elected. So his agenda now, he feels the complete freedom over the last couple of years of his administration to carry out his agenda, whatever that happens to be, which I think is to dismantle America as we know it. He said, I want to fundamentally transform it. I think that's what he's setting out to do. And he doesn't care whether his policies, his efforts to do it are popular or not. Now, here's clip number 2. This is Mika Brzezinski, Morning Joe this morning. You know, and you almost sympathize with these poor liberals because they are flummoxed by what President Obama is doing here. They don't get it. Here's Mika, card-carrying member of the left wing, and listen to how puzzled she is over what's going on.
I want to put this into context with John Heilman and ask you a question. I think it's about 3 tough questions. The question about his health, it's a controversy. Why? Then also, given his background and everything that we are finding from people who served with him and people who have covered this story and letters that he's written home, why would Susan Rice be sent out? Susan Rice be sent out repeatedly to say he served honorably and to really push that as one of the fundamental reasons behind this swap. And thirdly, with the White House contending that they consulted Congress, am I correct? That happened, right? Yes? Yes. They said they consulted Congress, and members of Congress saying they weren't consulted. What's going on here? What is going on here? I seriously, I don't understand it.
So Mika Brzezinski, poor Mika, she's puzzled, she's frustrated, she's bamboozled, she's confused. There are questions about his health. Obama was saying he's in desperate shape, he can barely walk. Then you have the Taliban video. The guy's obviously robust, he's been eating well. Doesn't have to be helped, doesn't have to be carried. He can walk to the helicopter on his own power, seems to be perfectly healthy, maybe a little dazed, but physically fine. So what's the deal with that? Then we find out he's a deserter and probably a traitor. Remember, we talked about this yesterday, that what happened is after he disappeared and wound up with the Taliban, all of a sudden the accuracy of these IED explosions improved dramatically because he was telling them how to ambush American patrols. He was telling them how to use cell phones as remote detonators. So he was a traitor. He was aiding and abetting the enemy. So Mika's just puzzled by this. How did they miss that? How does Susan Rice go out there and say he served honorably when now everybody knows he was a deserter and very likely a traitor? And what about this business where he said, President Obama said they consulted with Congress. We talked to Congress and they said no. As a matter of fact, he did not consult with us at all. One last bite before we go to the phones. Richard Engel, number 3, he's a chief foreign correspondent with NBC, and he's talking about the frustration of trying to get any information out of the Obama administration.
We've actually been getting more information today from the Taliban than we have from spokespersons here at the hospital in Lanchtoul. All they will say is in written statements that his health is stable, that he's receiving treatment. No indication how long he'll be here in Lanchtoul, only that when he is medically ready, he'll be transferred back to the United States. The Taliban, however, have been very forthcoming with information. They released that video. They also released quite a few details about the video, saying that they were in direct communication or in communication with the Americans, that they had to work out the logistics of this transfer, that they agreed that when the helicopter landed, only 3 people would approach from either side. So 3 Americans from the helicopter, the 2 Taliban militants and Bergdahl, that the Taliban needed to signal from the ground to the helicopter that it was in fact that group of Taliban that had him.
Okay, so that's Richard Engel saying if we need information about what happened, we have to go to the Taliban, the most transparent administration in history. We can't get any information out of them whatsoever. And again, notice he said that he's not going to be released from the hospital in Germany until he's medically ready. Ladies and gentlemen, my guess is that's going to be a long, long time. They cannot afford to have this guy released into the public, brought back to America. Let's go to the phones. Lee, Plano, Texas. Lee, welcome. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hi, Lee. Go right ahead. You're on.
Okay. I didn't call to talk about this, but I agree with what you were saying a minute ago that about those illegals being released in Arizona. When I saw an email about that, that was my first thought that was payback. That was done out of spite.
Well, that makes you the smart one. Because I didn't tumble to that till I read that in somebody's opinion piece.
Yeah, it sounds just like him because he's vindictive as well as many other things that are not good. But I've been racking my brain trying to think of what we can do, what the solution is to get Obama removed from office because he is the scandalous president. That's what we need to call him, the president of scandals, because it's one after the other, one a day practically, at least one a week, and it's to the point where. We need to ask ourselves, how much are we going to permit? How much are we going to take? In spite of Harry Reid refusing to do anything, and he's the one who's holding everything back, the procedure of the beginning of impeachment proceedings. And so I'm thinking that maybe if we could exhort Americans all over the United States to call their senators, their Democratic senators, to say, look, I know you're a Democrat. You are probably supportive of Obama, but how can you be? And you're supposed to represent me, and I demand that something be done to get rid of Obama, get him out of office, because he is ruining this country in every way.
Well, Lee, I
appreciate
appreciate your call. And, you got Lindsey Graham saying, look, if he tries to pull another stunt like this, releasing detainees from Guantanamo Bay, and Congress twice turned President Obama down 2 times. He went to them, I want to release Guantanamo Bay detainees. These guys, they said no. Lindsey Graham says next time he does it, we're going to impeach him. We need to call these senators to account for that.